Hello, entrepreneurs and hopeful future entrepreneurs. My name is Galia Aharoni Schmidt. I am an attorney and I'm the owner of Aharoni Business Law, which is a law firm based out of California where we help small and growing businesses with everything their business needs. So mostly business law, contracts, employment, and trademarks. So I wanted to talk to you today about buying and selling businesses because it's something that comes up a lot that we help people with. We see this come up a lot, especially post-COVID. A lot of businesses are struggling, or a lot of people are wanting to start new businesses, and there's a lot of businesses up for sale. So I am going to come at this with the perspective of someone buying a business, but you can also just flip everything from the perspective of the seller. But one of the first things that if you're thinking about buying a business, you need to understand is that there are two different types of business purchase agreements, basically. You can do what's called an asset purchase agreement or an entity purchase agreement. So the difference between the two is this. So if you're doing an asset purchase agreement, what that means is you're only buying the assets of the company and not the entire company. So an asset purchase agreement tends to be better for the buyer because you're only buying the stuff that's listed in the agreement. Every single asset that's listed is what you're getting. So that means that any liabilities, whether you know about them or not, are not coming to you unless you're explicitly putting them in the contract. So as a buyer, that's generally what I'm going to want because I'm not going to want to accidentally take on liability that I don't know about or that I do know about. Also, if you're buying assets from an entity that's set up as a sole proprietorship, as a partnership, an asset purchase is actually the only type you can do because there isn't actually a legal entity to buy. So you have to do an asset purchase agreement. So asset purchase agreements, again, tend to be better for the buyer. The contract itself does tend to be a little more time intensive and a little more complicated because, again, you have to list every single thing that you're buying. So it takes a little bit more time, but it's a common way to do it, and it's a way we help people do it a lot. So the other kind of purchase you can do is an entity purchase. So this is if you're buying a business that's an LLC or a corporation of some kind. Instead of buying every single thing that the company owns, you can just buy the shares of the company. So you're buying the ownership shares of an LLC, you're buying all the stock of the corporation. And that means that everything the corporation owns, or the LLC owns, comes with it. So it's a good thing in that you don't have to list out every single thing you're getting, but that means if there's any sort of liability or potential liability, even if you don't know about it, like a potential lawsuit if someone got hurt, or if they haven't been filing their taxes, or they've been smuggling money or something, you could theoretically be on the hook for that later. You're buying all of those liabilities too. So that tends to be better for the seller, right? Because they want to get rid of all those liabilities. As the buyer, the benefit would be of doing one of these is that it's a simpler purchase, but you're also potentially taking on more risk. So make sure you know which one you're doing as you enter into this agreement, because the agreement is going to look different, and you want to make sure you know what you're getting and you're not accidentally, bringing on any liability you don't intend to have. So once you know that, you're going to end up in this negotiation process between buyer and seller. So the way that this process normally works is you find a business that you want or are considering, and it seems like a good business. You're going to get some financial information from them. You're going to start talking about purchase price and payment plans and things like that. And once it seems like it's pretty good, now's a good time to get a lawyer on board, because this is one of these things that even when everybody's getting along and it seems like this is a really simple one, it's always going to be more complicated than you think it's going to be. There's always going to be things that you didn't think about, or that suddenly there's a conflict about and you need to talk through. And it is really, really helpful to have a lawyer on your side to help make sure that your interests are covered. And also, it's really important to have a lawyer draft this contract because, again, the terms of this contract are gonna have consequences later, and you're gonna want to make sure that this contract is not just some kind of standard thing. It needs to be tailored to the exact situation and list all of the terms of your particular situation so your interests are covered. So it's common to have lawyers on both sides. It's not necessarily required. Sometimes when we have only one lawyer, we will try to split the cost somehow of the drafting, but it's true that lawyer is going to be representing one side or the other. So it is a good idea to at least have the other side get a lawyer to review to make sure they have someone look over their interests as well. So usually once you have a lawyer on board, there'll be a first draft of a contract. There'll definitely be some more back and forth. It sometimes takes months and months, even on the simple ones. So the last thing I always tell people when they're thinking about buying or selling a business is, even if everyone gets along, even if they feel like this is the most simple of simple agreements, 100% of the time, it takes longer than you want. There's more negotiation than you want. There's more conflict than you want. And it's going to cost more money than you expect. So know that this is not necessarily a straightforward, simple process, even if everyone's getting along and is on the same page so far. And just know that that's going to be built into the cost of the purchase. But also know that the time and money and, negotiation that's going in now are really going to protect you later. So do just consider it part of the process, but know that even in the best circumstances, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to buy a business. There's a lot of things involved in buying a business. So know what you're getting into, and get help if you need it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our firm for some support. But best of luck, and I hope all of you on both sides have lots of success.